NC pork. Good for the plate, great for the steak.
Our next guest was a McDonald's All-American player way back in 2006, an All-American and an NCAA champion as a Duke player in 2010. He was an assistant coach under Mike Krzyzewski, also with great success, including a national title. And as a head coach, he already has 2 ACC titles, the 2025 regular season championship, an Elite Eight in 2024, a Final Four in 2025, and 35 victories last year. We now get to introduce him also as a National Coach of the Year, heading into year 4 in that head coaching position for the Duke Blue Devils. Jon Scheyer, welcome back to the North Carolina Sports Network. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. Your face lit up on one of our other interviews. I know you love people who do their homework, and I had found out that you're on a text chain with some old Chicago area buddies. So I just want to know, is it 4 or 5 guys? As you're drowning in basketball, is that mostly like about the Cubs and the playoffs and other stuff unrelated to all the things we're doing here today?
This is by far the best question I've gotten all day because I love talking about Chicago sports, Chicago Bears, Chicago Cubs. And then, the great part about, being on a group text with a bunch of old friends from back home, no matter how many wins you have or how well you're doing, they always give you a hard time. They're always, they're always busting your chops. Nothing's ever good enough. And so I'm thankful for them for that.
Speaking of busting your chops, I'm fascinated with how your brain works on this. If I were in your shoes, I'd be really proud of 35 wins, a first-place finish, another ACC title, a trip to the Final Four. And I don't know how you'd process the disappointment of being ahead late in the Final Four but losing that game. What is the healthiest way to reflect on all of that good and a little bad?
Well, the healthiest way, and I mean, I'm not saying I'm done. The healthiest way I've tried, is the game. It gives and it takes, and there's glory and there's heartbreak. And I think I've been fortunate to experience both. And if you're going to be grateful for the glory, you better be grateful for the heartbreak too. I think that's the simplest way to put it. That's not rationalizing. That's not. No, it's you want to be in that position and you set yourself up for either. So how do you take it? It's just like if you're going to accept this over here, you got to accept that. And so for me, it's just that. It was heartbreak. And so it inspires you, it pushes you to be even better for this next group and to take those moments with so that group doesn't have to go through it. But at the same time, proud of 35 wins. Yeah. I'm proud of everything that group stood for and how they represent our program.
I promise we're about to look forward instead of bombarding you with the rearview mirror, but I'm curious, in that moment, man, you're a young dude, mature but young. Why was it in your heart to say, I didn't help my guys enough when you only had a handful of minutes to even process what had happened by the time you're on that national TV post-game interview?
Well, that's how I'm always going to be. I think end of the day, as a coach, before you ever point the finger or critique one of your players with something that happened, you're ultimately responsible at the end of the day. So for us, getting to that moment and losing in that way, that's how I'm going to feel, that I didn't do enough to help them. I didn't help them. There's something I could have said or done. And so for me, the reflection is all about myself first and foremost. I don't think that's ever going to change. And I think that's part of the responsibility of being a coach.
I think I know this answer, but I have to ask anyway. You received multiple National Coach of the Year awards, including one called the McClendon Award, which goes to the top coach in all levels of college basketball. But yet you weren't even the ACC Coach of the Year. Yeah. I don't think you lose any sleep or change your life for missing one or getting the other, but I just wanted your thoughts about what is meaningful to you.
Well, I think the most meaningful thing, I think you have to continue to evaluate why you're coaching in the first place, and that's to build your players as people, and of course who they are as basketball players. And for me, individual recognition. Look, it's I'm not going to say it doesn't matter at all. Of course, we all feel good when you're named Coach of the Year, all that. But that's truly not my motivation. And ACC Coach of the Year, Pat Kelsey's a great coach, man. Yeah. We had a great year. I'd rather be the ACC champs at the end of the day. I bet Pat would say the same thing. Yeah. But although it's a great honor and it's well-deserved for him, and, to win the McClendon Award. Are you kidding me? That's a big deal, and that's a big honor for me.
All of us are smart enough to know that it's difficult to lose all 5 starters and three guys in the NBA. Not all of us are smart enough to know, besides losing talent, what is the hardest part of the challenge of putting new pieces together in a starting lineup or in a broader rotation?
I think the hardest part is not skipping steps. You know, we got to a point of the end of last season where we were connected. You know, we offensively, defensively, we got in such a routine. You forget in the preseason when I was pissed after practices because I didn't feel we were connecting the way that we needed to, and going through some of those rough moments. We started out the year 4-2, and so you can't skip steps. You have to go through some pain. You have to go through some rough patches in order to become the team that you want. And so I think for us, my messaging to our team and my messaging to myself after every practice is making sure we're not skipping steps and embracing the journey that we're on.
You and Coach K both sometimes have like a bluntness that we in the media don't always see. I love it as a Philly guy. That's how we communicate in Philly. Last year, like before we knew really the details of who Cooper Flagg was, you just came out and said, hey, Cooper's our best player, right? And coaches don't often like to say that. Right. Can you say that about a Cam Boozer? Can you say that about anybody else in a world where there were only 2 freshmen on that 15-man All-ACC team? It's an older college basketball now, but 2 of your guys, you know, Con Knippel and Cooper Flagg, were among the best players we saw.
Yeah, well, that was, for me, the bluntness came from something that was earned. You know, like Cooper, you know, you mentioned him. Like he had earned it over time. And, look, we haven't played a game yet, but Cam has proven that he's our best player up to this point. He's got to continue to do that. He impacts the game in so many different ways. His scoring. He leads us in scoring in practice, leads us in rebounding. He's second in assists. We're gonna really lean on him in a big way. But again, we're gonna do this collectively. But part of coaching and part of how you build a team is helping guys understand their roles, helping paint a picture for how they can impact winning, and that's I'll always do that. That's gonna be part of it.
I'm about to lose you because this is a shorter form conversation than we sometimes have. So I'll just say several things. You pick one and talk about it. Jason Tatum has a new role in your program, which is kind of cool. Darren Harris has been described as this year's Con Knippel, like the surprise of the summer or whatever. And you got a contract extension, which I don't think is a big deal. We didn't think you were going anywhere. But what thoughts do you have about any of those things? Because I got to let you go.
Well, one, just happy to be at Duke. You know, like my commitment to Duke and vice versa. I hope we can do really special things together for a long time. You know, when you mentioned Jason being our CBO, what better resource for our players than to have him to rely on? What an incredible thing. And then Darren's made a big jump. He's working his butt off, and I would like that to translate to the games, which I think he's very capable of doing.
Thanks for your visits on the David Glenn Show, and thanks for this visit on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Thanks so much for having me.
You got it.